whiskey for everyone, namely your husband.
Hell yeah.
Gotta
Hey,
happen.
if it's whiskey you guys drink, that's good to know.
Okay,
Whiskey it shall be.
so
Okay.
Stan's not here. He has told me, I told him all the things that might happen, and he has told me how he would respond to all of them. So we'll see how it goes.
Let's do none of those things and do something different. Go.
Okay, you guys are level 1. You're in a tavern. What if I did that? What if it's like you wake up, you dreamed all of this. You're a level 1 fighter in a tavern.
I might be a bit disappointed, but that's fine.
What? You don't like those?
We were all
It was all the
paralyzed.
dream endings? Those aren't satisfying in any way?
Nothing meant
I don't
anything
know.
all alone.
Excellent. For the
I think it would
record,
be-
this is session 104.
Whoa.
Damn.
I did the
Damn.
math. That's meeting every week for 2 years. That's what that would add up to.
Damn.
So, pretty impressive that we've made it this far, that we got to level 20, that we did so many sessions. The first 60, like 5 of those are in the first 2 arcs, by the way. So like, it's pretty crazy. This is session 17 of arc 4. You guys have accomplished a shit ton though, in very little time. So let's do a little recap. Last session, you interacted with so last session, Larlock completed or upheld his end of the bargain, giving you all the amulet in exchange for killing Shar. And after that, Mel arrived and asked you how you were able to do such a great feat. And you all sort of hand-waved it, and he requested the amulet, and you all said, well, we'll just carry it ourselves, which was a little bit weird, but he was cool with it. And you guys got back to the Isle, Dragon Isle, and the ritual commenced for resurrecting the final Thane of Sardior. In the process of doing that, you all decided that you didn't have enough time to get in a long rest such that you could actually defend yourselves for the fight to come. And so you used Wish to wish for a shortened long rest, at the cost of Damon's ability to ever cast the spell again. The wish was successful. You all got your long rest. You got your spells back. The ritual continued, and the Thanes of Sardior all assembled at the heart of the forest to resurrect Sardior. And in the process, Sardior's form was corrupted, as you realized that Janus had corrupted one of the Thanes in an attempt to take over the dragon of creation. And you quickly went to action fighting Sardior, and Larlock and his companions did arrive to help, and you guys beat the shit out of him. To be fair, I mean, Damon did like 700 damage or something with his sword, critting Sardior multiple times, and you were able to undo the Lord, or the God of Creation himself. And there were some scraps, there was some fighting, and in the end, the corruption from Sardior was able to like coalesce into its own form, which you put down pretty easily, having attained sort of the abilities of God Slayers. And at that moment, Mel had arrived to defend Sardior in the middle of that fight, and at that moment, with Sardior dead and Janus gone, Mel stood over the clutch of eggs, trying to defend them, to keep you from taking them, and rebuilding the plains, establishing the old godly order, the godly order of the usurper gods. Any questions about that?
That seems cool.
Seems pretty good. Okay. So we pick up Agreed. We pick up here on Izolda's turn, flying high above Mel on the back of Vosner as a fire dragon. Izolda, Larlock has just said to you, we need the eggs. We cannot wait. And he has turned to you to see what your move is. What do you do?
I am going to. So I'm riding on Vosner's back.
Yep, 50 feet up.
Yep.
I am going to lower my hand and turn to Larlock and say, this is not the way to gain the eggs. We need to speak with Mel.
Larlock nods. Your time is limited. They're coming.
Oh, that's right. The huge legion is coming, right?
No, the gods.
All the gods.
Oh,
Oh,
the
God.
gods.
Oh, they're mortal though, so screw them.
Sure, bud. Yeah, so I'll kind of lower my arms and soften my face and look at Mel intently. We are sorry that Sardior was corrupted. We would like to place the eggs back at the ley lines and recreate a better world.
Mel.
And
Oh, sorry.
can I roll insight on whatever it is Mel is about to do?
Sure.
It's a very delicate situation.
Mel looks up and says, let them be reborn. Let it turn back to what it was. You've seen what this place turns into when they're in charge. And he looks up at Shandacool. He sort of dips his hands in the ground, the earth of this giant heart, but he pulls up. There's some dirt in it, there's some life in it, but so much of it is ash. This place would never have been like this under the rule of Sardior. And you insight, and he seems genuine. He's worried about what this rule looks like given the past track record.
That's very fair. I will nod in agreement and say, the old gods are on their way, and we do not want the world that was before either. There was separation, there was great inequality, but the world that Sardior wanted, many humanoids would not be able to survive. And my friends and I count you among my friends, would like a world in which dragonkind and humanoids and many others can thrive on their own power and in harmony with one another.
All of you roll me a d6. I'm going to...
Yeah.
With that, I think we're going to end... Oh man, it's doing the pan thing again for some reason.
Classic Vosner. Doesn't know how to roll a d6.
One day. There it is. Thanks, Vosner. Oh, I should roll one for two.
Maybe on the scrappy of the
Okay. So we're gonna end combat, and what that's gonna allow people to do is do a little bit of out-of-turn sequencing. So I'm gonna say, firstly, the queen goes and pulls Gilgamesh's dead body out of the shallow pool. Larlock and Shandakul sort of group up high in the sky. Hadariel flies over with them, and they sort of await what you guys are going to do. Mel looks up and says, "How will I know that you will make something that won't turn into this?"
We will listen to you and your wisdom, whatever it is that you have to share with us. And we will listen to each other, and as we have learned in our time and our journeys together, we will also listen to those who our decisions will affect the most, those with the least power in this situation. We want to hear from the people who have been living in this hellscape, so that we can learn from them how best to avoid it.
He nods and says, "Very well." And he reaches down and grabs the eggs and holds them aloft in front of you.
I will take them if you will let me.
I mean,
don't
there's 5
really
of
remember
them.
how this goes. Okay.
And Larlock flies over, Shandakul and Hadariel sort of flying behind him, staying back. He says, "Good. Now, all we have to do is get these to the ley lines, and then we meet up at the forge. And we can begin."
The Forge of Creation.
Yes. We must divide up.
Have Mel accompany you to the forge.
Yeah, how far away are the ley lines from each other?
They are literally the entire spread of Faerun. If you look at the map, you will see there are 5 locations, A through E, and they're each colored for a different gem dragon stone. You are at the center point here, and the forge is located at point D, under that ley
Got
line.
it.
Does Larlock have all of the eggs at the moment?
No.
No, I do.
Isolde
Okay,
does.
good.
And I don't trust them enough, so
Absolutely not.
we're gonna have to split up and probably take one evil person with us each.
So, Larlock says, "I will teleport all of us. We will go to each one together."
Excellent plan.
So, do.
Can I insight him too?
Yeah.
I'd like to back that up as well.
You want to help me and give me advantage?
Yeah, I'm
do we-
disadvantaged
okay.
myself, so I don't know. However that shakes out.
All right.
Sure
Larlock looks excited, like you actually did it. He was worried. You could tell he was worried about killing Mel. With a 23, you think he's more worried about the time than it is the actual prospect of killing Mel. He seemed pretty fine with it. He's killed a lot of things to get this far, as have you all. He wasn't really morally in trouble with that. He was just worried about the time. And you can tell he's like rushing. Larlock, who's normally composed, normally sort of like stoic and makes you wait to hear him talk, is like moving quickly with his words. And you see him, like, without asking you all, begin to create a portal. Come. We are returning to some place that should be quite familiar. And he opens a portal to the 6th level of the guild. Which, I just realized I didn't prep this scene. So, hold on, let me find it. Oh no, I don't have it. Guys, I'm gonna have to ask you to use your imagination.
Done.
What?
That was so easy.
Dungeons and Dragons for me.
You guys are good at this.
I'm leaving.
Foster's out. He opens a portal and takes you down, and you find yourself in a familiar place. The 6th level of the guild, also known as the teleportation hub. The last time you were here, you were at this ley line. You found this place where the crystal egg had originally been placed. Now, back in your hand, you feel the sort of incubating hrodal in your hand, sort of pulsing with life and energy as you begin to take it back to where it once was stored. You find yourself, it's just like the guild before, very dusty. It's almost as if a giant city fell and crashed into the guild. Above you, the steps are in ruins. You're sort of sealed off from the outside world, but the portals are now alive and well, thriving, humming with light and energy as you find yourself in the guild, fully functional again, at least the teleportation area. Larlock points to each portal. This should take us close to each of the ley lines. We can all go together. It's fine with me. Let's just move quickly. And so he begins rushing, expecting you to follow, to the portal that leads to Lurien, which is point B.
As we're like moving together towards the portal, I'm still keeping pace, but I would pose to Larlock. I would ask, are you apprehensive? Nervous about what's immediately to follow?
If we don't do this fast enough, then we don't do this at all. He looks at you with very serious eyes.
Alright. Varel will chew on that threat and continue.
So, do you place, before I guess we do Lurien, do you place the crystal egg back in its holding place at the ley line in the bottom of the guild?
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
Vosner will. Is Mel with us? Was he able to be teleported?
Mel did not come. He just gave you the eggs, and you guys went through the portal.
Okay.
Sus.
I'll do that.
Okay. Vosner, you go and you place the egg in its holding spot in the ley line, and the whole ley line lights up with energy and thrums and hums, and you can hear the machinery whirling again as these planes are beginning to be realigned, and below you the floor sort of rotates and changes as arcane glyphs and sigils light up and move around. This ley line is now active. You all walk together, walking out of this room to Lurien through the portal, and you find yourselves in a completely destroyed city, rubble everywhere, ash everywhere. This place has been vacant for years. And Larlock sort of leads you quickly through the city streets down into some cellars, and then below into a hidden area where another ley line is. And he points to the location. Make haste. He's already building another teleportation circle to send you to the next, or to send you back.
I will make haste and place the egg where it needs to go.
Okay. And sort of Hadariel standing next to you, she puts a hand on your shoulder, Isolde, and says, "Thank you. You are freeing us from years of tyranny."
What will be next for you then?
Someone has to rule over the evil souls. Who better than a devil?
But you don't wish to recreate the same hierarchy as there was before?
Perhaps we can come up with something new. Something better. But I am not ignorant to my charge. Someone has to hold the souls. And she walks away towards the portal and goes through. And you find yourselves all back at the guild hall again, level 6. And he says, "This one will lead to Luskin." And you all walk through again, and portal after portal you go through. You find yourselves in Luskin in the cold weather. You find deep underground. You find where the ley line was, and you put in the piece, establish it. And then you go to the land of the Fae in these deep, this ley line is built into some deep wizard tower, deep underground with all sorts of interesting arcane machinery around you. He rushes past it. All of the wizards here long dead. You get the feeling that Larlock and his crew prepared this way for you days in advance, knowing exactly what you needed to do. And you finally arrive at Mithranor in the forests of Cormanther, and you step out into a massive chamber that is filled with undead minions. This ley line is built is underneath Larlock's fortress, where he has mastered and maintained an entire army of undead, the ones he was summoning through portals. And he walks you down a flight of steps, this place filled with beautiful architecture that has all been crafted by magic into impossible shapes and spirals, as he takes you deeper and deeper to the final ley line. And he points. That's it. It's all we need. And as he points, a figure appears. And I'm going to say everybody gets a short rest in the process of doing that. So feel free to execute one of those, whatever that means for your character. Say Gilgamesh. We'll say Gilgamesh Actually, this is a good question. Would somebody have resurrected Gilgamesh, or would you have let him stay dead?
Yeah, I was thinking about that when his body got pulled out, but I was in the middle of talking with Mel.
Yeah, no worries. There's a lot going on. Yeah. So what does it look like when Isolde resurrects Gilgamesh from the waters?
I think she actually would have, like, placed the diamonds on him and then placed the queen's hands over them with her own hands over the queen's. And, like, as she sent the magic into Gilgamesh, she would have walked away so that that could be their time together.
Yeah, you do so. And Gilgamesh breathes a gasp of air coming back from the dead and looks up and sees the queen there. And he thanks her. And the queen looks off to you as you're walking away. Says, it was her magic. And okay. Okay, so let me make sure all these things are right before Vosner is not a fire dragon anymore. I believe, right, Vosner? Or are you?
I'll just stay. I'll just turn into a gold dragon and just that'll just be my form.
I think the fire dragon still makes sense because you can talk now and cast spells through it, so it's not like you need to change, I guess.
Yeah, I'm just gonna stay in my elemental form for time being.
You guys find yourself here. Oh, I don't have a token of vision on the scene. Do I need to change it?
Terranata probably get a short rest as well.
Oh, yeah. I'm just gonna give him like a bunch of.
Whoa.
Larlock looks around at this and says, "This is where we can do the rebuilding. This is where we can change everything." And as he's saying that, a figure appears. Appearing before you in a brilliant display of moonlight appears Saloon, the goddess of nature and the moon. And as she appears, she looks at all of you. What are you doing?
What you could not.
She looks at
I want to
Vandal.
insight.
You want to insight Saloon?
Yeah,
Do it.
we're on the same level now.
Yeah.
Ability. Persuasion. Where's my insight? Oh, here we go. I don't. Do I still have foresight up? Yeah, I guess so. Right.
Sure, yeah. Double or advantage on the insight. She actually looks worried. So she comes in sort of authoritative, asking what you're doing, but you can sense tension in her voice. She looks at you, Vosner, and her eyes fill, and her face softens, and her eyes fill with a sense of familiarity, like seeing an old friend. What are you doing here?
we seek to rebuild, to be gardeners. What troubles you?
She shakes her head. We cannot do this again. We cannot trap ourselves in these domains. They're coming. You must ready yourselves.
Will you stand by us?
She looks at all of you. When the dust settles, what will you make?
I'll look at the rest of my friends.
An enduring
Say-
future. Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh. And I'll kind of turn back and say, a place for all. And then let Beryl say enduring future. Is that?
Yep.
That you?
She looks to Damon and Isolde as well.
I am here, as I have always been, to assist my friends.
Damon, as you say that, a massive portal opens up and Primus walks through. You are here because I put you here. Obey. And as he opens up this portal, two more figures step through. A Monitor, the god of time and light, and Ilmater, who sort of hobbles into the room, feeble. Tim, you want to introduce your character?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a god, no big deal. Whatever. Yeah, so I'm playing as Ilmater, who is a feeble-looking old man, and yet, if you spend any time looking at him, you get the sense that there's remarkable strength behind that feeble body.
Primus steps forward and says, "You're playing with things you do not understand. Please stand down." And Monitor steps forward and says, "Good work. You've done what you've been tasked to do. Now it is time for you to hand over the reins." And he looks over all of you. What an incredible ensemble of power. We knew you could do it. But do not let you squander this at the finish line. This is not the time for greed or power grabs. And he looks around the room at all of you, attempting to ascend to godhood.
You are mistaken if you think that we are motivated by greed. I think for many of us, this is the last thing that we want, but it is what is necessary.
Ilmater is going to speak up. Say, Isolde, my child, remember all of the miracles we worked together, with my hand guiding yours. I fear you might not understand what godhood really means. You are still young. Allow those of us who truly understand. what this great and terrible burden means, to shoulder it as we have done for so many years.
She listens almost respectfully, maintains eye contact with Mater. It does seem like a burden, and I'm sure it is more difficult than I could even imagine. But the world that we have all experienced, the world, Cecilia, the world that came to this, is not something we can return to. Ask you, is there anything that you would have done differently when you divided up the world all those years ago?
It is all very well to spend our time ruminating on ifs and maybes. The fact is, we did the best with what we had. And Ilmater kind of looks at Primus and Amonitor as if sort of for backup.
Primus confirms the structure of the ley lines and the division of the plains was suitable for our needs. Years of prosperity and peace. And a monitor steps forward and says, and the only way to stop Shar from turning this place into nothingness was to let it fall for a mere 30 years. What's 30 years of death and destruction to 1,000 of prosperity? He shakes his head. You know not of what you speak. You have no idea what we went through to get to this point.
Vosner will look over, responding to a monitor, but keeping his eyes on Saloon, and say, we've seen your friends that you have lost. There are many more that struggled against Sardior the first time. We know the sacrifice and the sadness. We know the pain that some of us are willing to risk everything for to fix. And he'll look over to Saloon and Chandacool. But there's something that you have now that you didn't have before. You have allies and perspective for those many, many years. So what was suitable then is not suitable now. With peace comes the ability as a nature to grow, and after a great calamity, there's a time to regrow, to adapt, to be made new and stronger. What I see that was missing is a kind gardener. Ever present, but not meddling. That's what I felt was missing. And I'll look over to Saloon to make sure I make eye contact with her.
She looks at you and sort of nods, and a monitor shakes his head. All right. Then in the new formation, when we re-establish the planes, what, you all want your own domain? You want to tend to your own garden? Is this your desire?
I'll look at the rest, not speaking for anyone else. And I will say, we need dragon kind and humanoid kind and our kind to be harmonious and closer.
For 1,000 years we've had harmony on these planes. Only now has it been disrupted by a power grab by Shar. One we calculated for, anticipated for, and set things in motion to undo. You are a product of our plan. Do you not
Yes,
understand?
do not forget that you stand here today because of what we gave to you.
Pharaoh can't help us. Oh, I'm sorry.
Just even when you felt we were distant, it was our gifts, our power, that brought you to this point.
Given so that you did not have to fight the battle yourselves.
A monitor
we-
looks at you angrily with that.
I sort of step next to Damon and put a hand on him, and also stare down a monitor.
We know better than to risk everything to put ourselves in harm's way. Do you know what this place would look like if we had failed? If we had come in the flesh and died? A ship without a captain is of no use.
I'll look at Shandakul.
Shandakul is sort of
Yeah.
like standing stoic, but he is clearly like arms crossed, not happy with the monitor. Shandakul spits on the ground when he says that a monitor says he couldn't come down. He says, "Coward." And a monitor looks at him and points and says, "You bite your tongue, traitor. You could have sent a chosen. You could have aided us in the same way. You chose to be here for the end so you could grab your new power system."
And I'll
It is
look over to
It's
a
enough
monitor.
of how isolated that you are, that you believe that there has been harmony for 1,000 years.
Harmony is a relative concept. You must think the big picture. If you are going to rule a plane, you cannot simply think the minor level. Yes, people are murdered every day. Things are awful. People die. But in the end, there is a cosmos to inhabit. That is something that Shar would not have offered.
And
Given
what
a
is the
chance.
alternative? Would you rather us take away all beings' free wills so that we create some sort of utopia? You blame us as if harmony was something we should have forced upon you. But the lack of the realization of harmony, that was because we allowed people and creatures in these planes to act of their own free will. Would you do it differently? Would you turn everyone into mindless automatons?
First of all, I take offense to that term.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is that no longer the PC term?
Yeah, that's more of a
You're
Mac.
calling them installed constructs now? The way that she looks at Ilmater is still respectful, and kind of gentle. And she shakes her head and says, "Certainly not. There is not a world in which we would want that to be the case. But the world that I envision, as much as I have learned from your wisdom, is one in which I can be an advocate for the people, among the people, without concern about my own safety. I know that it is riskier, but I also know that it is right to take the risk and to be vulnerable and to sacrifice for people that you love. And I do wish to love the world like that."
Out of the corner, out of the shadows, steps a towering figure. Massive black horns arced on both sides of his head. And he claps. "Well, Ilmater, looks like you won the bet. Given all the chance at power, one of yours still isn't corrupted by it. I must say I'm impressed. It is quite a feat to have created such a altruistic follower." He looks over the rest of the crew, stopping at Gilgamesh and Larlock, Adariel, Shandakul, looking at Damon and Varel. The rest of you, I think the jury's still out. Where are we at? Is this a situation that will unfold in violence? It's been quite some time for me. And he sort of steps over the egg, peering down into it, sort of casually looking at the apparatus. Still holds up, Primus, after 2,000 years. God, some fine craftsmanship, if I do say so. And Primus sort of nods.
Varel, having bitten his tongue, says, "Enough of this. It is you who do not understand." And he walks towards a monitor. It says, "You speak of power grabs, yet here you are asking for the reins. It is you who are all here, asking for power. You accuse us of greed, yet we only speak of compromise, and yet it is you who are all here, advocating for greed. You say, were it not for your gifts and what you have done, but it has been precisely because of our actions and what we have done that you are here. You owe this to us, not the other way around. You confuse your own passivity for activity and your negligence for guidance. You accuse us of asking for our own planes when that was your plan. We speak only of new possibilities and involved risks and love. You accuse us of taking away free will, yet you ask to take away ours. Indeed, you don't ask, you command us. We imagine free will within rules and limits, a possibility you seem unable to entertain. It's time for talk is over. Let's be done with this."
A monitor looks at you and says, "Very well. Let us compromise. We will divide up the planes as we see fit. You may have 4 of them. We will all walk away. I will let you decide who rules over what. There have been vacancies." He turns to Larlock. "Your offer is still on the table, should you want to reach for it." Larlock nods. "What say you? Will you be satisfied, re-dividing up the planes as they once were, ascending to levels of godhood you would never have achieved without us? Or do you want it all? which case we will have to see whose might makes who right.
Can you not imagine harmony of all?
Describe for me the construction of this world where there is harmony. Would you not have planes? Would you have elementals and demons walking the same earth that an elf trods? There would be no harmony for humanoids. We created this paradise for you. One with freedom and choice, and the ability not to be stomped on by a Tarask on a Tuesday.
Vosner takes offense at the lack of Tarask. Actually, it's just the player takes offense. Vosner doesn't care.
Let me see if I've got a Tarask stat block here.
Please don't. The several gods are intimidating enough.
John, can you recap real quick what this offer is for compromise? We're going to divide up.
A Monitor is offering you 4 planes of existence to divide up amongst you all. Larlock seems to have already made a deal. He has a plane of his own.
I've noticed.
Yeah, he's a bit.
And what
is
he hasn't really
Saloon
said what would happen to the other planes.
The sort of general idea is that you guys can rebuild a cosmos, but he doesn't want, there's a lot of you, and so he's not going to give up, you know, a majority share of the planes.
Why not simply divide the planes for all of us? Why doesn't everyone get their own plane? Truly, if you are as powerful as you say, such a task would not be out of reach. Not for all of us here, together.
You have achieved great works. You have done many things. You have slain Shar, which honestly I wasn't even sure you would be able to do. But you must recognize the power in this room. There is only so much we are willing to give up. We cannot know for sure if you are to be trusted. Shar only held 1/16 of the power, and yet she was able to accomplish great harm.
I'm looking at Saloon. What's she doing? She's a native of this world
Saloon
before.
steps up and says, "If you all wish to deal with them, I will once again, in the name of compromise, make a bargain. But," she looks at them, "all compromise carries with it some defeat, some loss. Know that when you are on your plane, ruling over it, your will can extend into the material world. You can have followers, you can do many things, but it's essentially a prison. I've spent 1,000 years separated from this very soil, all in the name of caring for this place. It is not an easy bargain to make. You will be bound." And a Monitor sort of smiles and says, "Good to hear you still have sense, Saloon. Yes, it is not all it's cracked up to be, divinity. Immortality, power, they come at a cost. These are permanent positions."
Then set aside your burden, weary Monitor.
He smiles. "You will not wrest the power of this planet away from me. Not now. Not after all we've done.
what we've done.
What
Again,
we've
it is you who
all
ask for
done.
the reins. It seems to me under the old governance and the old plan of isolated broken planes, it was under this exact system that Shar broke free and jeopardized eternity. Moving forward, what will we have to secure governance over all planes, unbroken, to prevent the transgressions of the One?
Do you not see that we have undone all that Shar has done? We stand at the helm, ready to direct the ship to new shores, and you look backwards. Shar is gone. The Shadowfell has receded. The plains have returned. And if we do not reconstruct the plains, this planet will be more vulnerable than ever. You do not understand what the plains do. It is a shield that surrounds this place. No one else can come in. You know we've come from a different place. We've traveled from off-world. What would happen if this place were exposed to more people like us? More powerful beings who could arrive at any moment and overthrow the current status quo. Ones who aren't benevolent. Ones who aren't looking after the humanoids. You know too little to rule over such a place. We have years of experience.
Then why are you so greedy? Why won't you share this wisdom? I
I'm
know.
offering you 4 planes. That is more than fair for what you have done.
If you want something truly new, of course it is the most wise to look back before you take your next step forward. To know where you've been informs where you want to go. But like I said, you have something new here. Perspective. Something that you didn't have. As Primus said, you all did the best that you could do with what you had to fit your needs. But now you have something more.
Primus.
Saloon
Yes.
has... Oh.
Primus steps forward and says, there are alternative arrangements. We could create different systems of planes and still maintain protection. He sort of nods. The Monitor puts his hands up in the air. Very well, we will carve up this pie in a different organization. Is that what will make you happy? I don't care. So long as we rule over this and keep this place safe. We cannot let it return to the chaos of Sardior, and we cannot leave it open to attack from the external.
If you don't care, and all you seem to be motivated by is what you have fled from, please let the rest of us speak, and then you will be satisfied either way.
He waits.
I'll turn to Saloon, Chandicool, and Primus, and Ilmater, and I'll say again, let us see what harmony that we can create. Different ways of understanding of how we can be with one another. And we can heed a Monitor's concerns and warnings about those who threaten us from beyond. But we cannot keep more than 1,000 years worth of wisdom behind closed doors and closed hearts. It is foolish. it is not tending to what needs to be cared for.
The Monitor
This
keeps quiet, but he's sort of looking to Ilmater to say something, to speak some wisdom into these folks. Larlock sort of steps forward. Shall we draw up contracts at the table? Perhaps this is just an issue of divvying up the loot, so to speak. Perhaps we could all sit down and figure this out over pen and paper like times of old. I know just the place. Sort of looks around the room. Very well. And he opens a portal. It's just a freestanding portal. He sort of waves his hand. It's a reddish portal that goes into the restricted area of the Candlekeep Library, the demi-plane of existence, where Shandakul and Ilmater and Amanatur and Primus before had constructed and redecided the organization of the planes. And Larlock sort of gestures towards it. Who will be the first to go through?
I'll
Alright, I
step
just put Bob down for a nap. What the fuck are we going through?
So there's been some debate over what to do, and Amanator is offering 4 planes of existence. Vosner
Right.
says that we should come up with a new system of harmony, though I don't know what that entails logistically. And Larlock is saying if we are in agreement that this is not something where things will come to blows, then, and you're happy with the idea that you will get 4 planes, then here is a portal that will lead to the basically restricted area of the library, that room that you once were in with all the documents where they originally carved up and planned existence.
Which is what is called the Forge.
No, you're in the Forge. This is the final place of the thing, but the other room is like the conference room. If you guys want to go to the conference room, hash this out.
yeah, Primus
Hesitant to do so, considering not all of the old guard are here, and I don't want anyone to show up in our absence.
Oh, like to mess with this ley line?
Yeah.
Yeah, where's Tiamat?
Yeah, and actually,
Yeah, what's up?
I'd like to scry at some point, but we'll get through the rest of it.
Yeah, you can scry if you want. You can just dip your hood up and look. What are you looking for? I'll just give it to you instantly.
I'm curious what Mel is up to at the moment.
Okay, just cuts to Mel, and yeah, you don't. You pass your own save. It cuts to Mel, and he is just at the Isle of the Dragon Isle, and he's just tending to just the ruins. Like, there's just been an epic battle there, where like the forces of Shar have invaded, but like there's just thousands of dead Dragonborn and Shadowvar and whatever. It's just a war zone. He's sort of walking amongst it. He just looks kind of sad.
Harsh. Alright, I'm relieved at least, thanks.
Appearing next to Saloon in a flash of brilliance arrives Mistra. What have I missed? And Asmodeus sort of looks over and casually says, "We're agreeing to terms. It is not coming to blows. At least not yet. And Mistra looks to Veyril. You have done well.
Veyril bows. Only a bit, but... and says, "It is good to see you."
The last time I had a follower this powerful, he tried to kill me, so I consider you a genuine success. What are the terms that we're discussing? And a monitor sort of lays out the deal, the offering.
And I look over to what's his face? The guy that has a deal with everyone. Larlock. And I said, "Bring forth Mel."
Bring forth Mel?
Bring forth Mel.
You want me to bring him here?
Bring forth Mel.
I don't understand.
I don't understand either. Where do you think Mel is?
To, you know, he can open up portals everywhere. Stuff. We need more wisdom. You know? And he is dragon kind. He is the voice that's not represented here. We got beings from all over whatever cosmos that you all are coming from, you know.
Saloon sort of looks up, closes her eyes. She says, "The dragonkind are coming. They will be here shortly." And as she's saying that, stepping down the stairs, sort of covered in the bones of Larlock's skeletons, probably having fought their way through here instead of teleporting, Bahamut and Tiamat, sort of stepping side by side, walk into the room and stand amidst the square. There, the whole gang's here. Are you happy? Asmodeus sort of cracks to the whole room. I'm not quite sure we'd all fit in the conference room anymore. Some of you have, and he looks to Primus, gained weight.
What a jokester, this guy.
Truly
He's
evil.
the first to go.
And Tiamat snips at him with one of her 5 heads. It's only a joke.
New plan.
Mel has
All whole all.
Sorry, what was that?
I said new plan. We give it all to Asmodeus. He gets to rule all.
That's some Ilmatarian wisdom there.
got him.
Asmodeus sort of looks around the room. Perhaps there's just too much power in here, Monitor. You've assembled quite a crew. We could just hash it out here. Whoever's standing atop the pile of bodies at the end gets it all. Oh, I crave such a romp. Sort of looks around the room. Anyone?
No.
And he points at Damon. You look like you're up for it.
It is not the worst idea I've heard today.
The robot gets me.
I look over to a monitor and say, "What are you fleeing from? You talk of things that are more powerful than you. Why don't we know these?"
He puts his hand up towards the ceiling, and with a wave of his hand, you are able to see through the, granite and marble and mountainous terrain above, straight up to the sky. He sort of just, gives you a visual sunroof, so to speak. And you can see the night sky for the first time since the planes have fully merged. And what you see in the distance is remarkable. New stars, new suns, new strange colors floating in the air, and new planets, part of a solar system you've never seen before. Amonador looks at all of you. The planar system developed by Primus and myself, and he looks over to Mistra, and Mistra, shields us from our neighbors, and he points up. That planet alone contains more powerful beings than many of the people in this room. Would that they could come here and conquer this place for themselves, like we did many years ago. Perhaps they would feel inclined to do so. With the planes down, they are free. And as soon as he says that, you see rocketing into the sky a vessel flying up high in the air, and a Monitor sort of laughs. Ah, off they go. He sort of looks around the room. Those who refuse to join us here have clearly fled. And he looks to Asmodeus. I half expected you to be on that ship. And Asmodeus sort of looks around. And miss this? Whatever this is, I couldn't have passed it up. Bane sends his best, though. Also, I didn't want to be stuck on a ship with Coralon. And, like, Primus nods at that. The Monitor gestures. Well, you've got the dragons now. They once sided with us against Sardior. They saw our wisdom in light of much death and destruction. They clearly can make the same bargain again. The question is, will you join us? You have earned a place among the gods, but you have only earned a handful of them. Which among you would ascend and rule over a plane?
Well, what if you were to become a vanguard? You split it into so many planes, and you seem to be so concerned about those who are outside, and without that, we probably wouldn't have this conversation. But what if you were to create a plane to just shield us? That's one plane, with you and others who are that concerned. And then you can have those who have called this home for their entire lives before you arrived. I'll look at the dragons and Saloon to garden and govern. I wish not to waste your wisdom, and I come with just a different perspective. But you also must respect my wisdom. As new as it is, that's the way that nature thrives. It adapts. And what was necessary and prescriptive and good 1,000 years ago may not be the most efficient, most prosperous route forward. So take that into consideration.
The planes are ways of divvying up the power. Were there one plane, even a protector plane surrounding this place, the person controlling it would have an immense amount of power. Would you give that power to one individual?
No.
Who among us would be worthy of it? Asmodeus raises his hand.
Those who make up the vanguard, much like a shield, an organization, very powerful beings who understand the outside world, secretive, would be the rulers. Not one, but many. Truly trained on the things that concern them the most.
You would have all of us inhabit that plane as protectors, leave this plane to whatever ends it wants. Sounds
Those
like
who
an
are-
untended garden to me.
Those who are concerned about the outside would tend to the outside, and those who are concerned for the inside would tend to the inside. That is my view. I speak not for my companions, but I see the worry and the hurt, the pain, and our compatriots also have their duties that they wish to fulfill. So, in consideration, we should understand it like that. If you truly are afraid of the outside world, and those who came here with you truly are afraid of that, and lust for battle, focus on that.
Monitor shakes his head. I do not lust for battle. I have spent 1,500 years avoiding battle. We built this place to protect the people. We have tended the garden. The garden had a disease. We had to let that disease run its course. Now it has. We're ready to rebuild. Do you want 4 planes?
I do not seek godhood. If my companions will take 4 planes, then 4 planes it will be. But I will insist that Primus abdicate his post.
Primus steps forward. Explain your reasoning.
If the disease has run its course, if the plan has truly come to its final fruition, then your job is done. Rest now, O Supreme Modron. Rest now, Lord Primus. Leave Mechanus behind. Do no more planning. Execute no more schemes.
My will is that order is maintained. Who will carry out order in my stead?
It could be any number of people. I have seen Farrell here weave time itself into the best possible outcome, at least from our perspective, as you have from yours. Perhaps it could be run by someone new, someone like Varel.
My interest is in accountability, in principle, in a future that is sustained.
It seems it would be easy enough if we are already reorganizing the planes to set something up to this end.
My only wish is for order. How that is carried out is of no concern to me. If I am not needed on this planet, I will simply leave.
It sounds like we may be in agreement.
Your logic is sound, Damon.
Name it not.
The Monitor looks around. Very well. Primus will abdicate his throne. Good service, Primus. We thank you for all you've done. And someone will take his place. such is the deal. And the rest of you will figure out how to divvy up the 3 planes. I imagine Shandacool will want his own again. And Shandacool shakes his head. Oh, well, very well then. Shandacool does not want his own plane. Whatever. It's fine. You're free to leave, Shandacool, if that is your goal. And he sort of nods. He says, I will not be part of another... I will not be part of one of your hierarchies ever again, Monitor.
And again, why are you the one orchestrating all of these things? Asmodeus, you seem as powerful as any of us.
That's the entire
Why
point.
is it you?
We're all powerful, and we all have to hold each other in check. It's very boring. Thousands of years. At least I had the Blood War to deal with. Thousands of years of fighting demons gave me something to do. Tiamat like roars.
Is it a good roar?
Yeah, kind of like a fuck you, kind of, but
Sorry, I'm.
Can
at
I
war with-
insight check Shandacool?
yeah.
Good idea.
Asmodeus, like when Shandacool nods that he's leaving, is like, you missed the spaceship. Good luck.
F.
Shandacool is into you? For the first time, his sort of long, flowing white hair, kind of like, maybe that's a thing for me?
Yeah.
No, it's not. And then you sort of snap back to the conversation.
Just agreeing with our plans. Sucker.
If I may, and I'll address this to Amonitor and Primus. I have no personal interests. As I said, I intend only to secure harmony, to secure accountability, and an open future. Is that possible without granting a plane of existence to accountability?
Mr. Nods. We can rule from non-planar places. If you wish to be part of my plane, you would be welcome, Varel. You could
I imagine-
apprentice under me.
I imagine something interplanar to guarantee security between the planes, to prevent, as it were, a new disease.
This can be arranged. Yeah, Mistra's down with a proposal for like a plane that connects all of them. Technically the Astral Sea does that, as it's currently arranged, but TLDR Faerun lore is pretty wishy-washy on how the planes work, so we could actually hash out a system for that.
Yeah, I'm interested in mutual interest and interplanar accountability
Okay.
is sort of what I imagine, rather than the Primus plane of order
Got it.
XYZ.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, you could be part of a the sort of council for dealing with interplanar affairs.
Nice.
Mistra would join you for that, as the weave holds all of this together in the first place.
Thus, the metaphysics of time supersedes the metaphysics of the planes.
There you go.
Nice.
I kind of want to just see if I can. I haven't heard anything from other than Tiamat was a fuck you roar. I haven't heard from much of Saloon, who said that is, any sort of divvying is a prison sentence, and she does not. Like, she's down for it, but she's not down for it.
She's willing to make a compromise as she did before. That's what you know about Saloon. Saloon, Mistra, Bahamut, Tiamat were all people of this plane. They all came from here. And they all originally agreed with the usurper gods because things were pretty chaotic with Sardior in charge. So they made a more ordered chaos with a more chill plane of existence harbored in between all of these other more extreme planes. That was how they sort of divvied it up before. Saloon proposes perhaps we could establish less of a secure barrier between the planes, such that people could traverse to them easier. Maybe this would be a compromise. If your followers wished to meet with you, Monitor, they could walk to you. They could traverse great heights, climb Mount Celestia themselves. Monitor sort of nods. Sure. However you want it built, that's fine. So long as we have some ability to control and keep this place safe.
I'll turn to a monitor and say that you have a great and deep heart and love for a place that is foreign to you. So I ask you to be the shield from other far-off places, and ask you to pick a spear to stand alongside of you. Not to relinquish your power, but to focus it in a way.
The only way I can defend this place is if I have adequate power to do so.
Then pick someone to stand alongside you as your spear.
The planes are what give us this power. You must understand. The souls that inhabit that, each one that we bring to our cause, strengthens our abilities. We are in a weakened state now, having tread this mortal ground. But on our planes, we are nearly invincible. This is what keeps us safe from the external. Anyone who comes has to reckon with the power of 1,000,000 souls.
And it must
Can I get
be...
a read on Ilmater during this conversation?
Yeah, what's Ilmater up to?
So Ilmater, I mean, he does not love the fact that a Monitor is kind of like an antagonizer. And so he is often sort of trying to bring the temperature in the room back down again. But by and large, he seems like he's agreeing with what a Monitor is saying. Like, he's not standing up against anything that he says, like, calling it down. He's just trying to, like, calm him down so that he doesn't fly up.
Got it.
Is it not possible for you and one of the other, or two of the other, or however many, to stand alongside of one another as compatriots as of old in a plane?
We already do that.
No, you all have your own different planes. But
Yes, we need each
multiple
plane
people
to power us.
What if 3 people were on a plane and you have triple the power of the plane? Sort of like a super duper bubble instead of 4 bubbles.
I fear we may be getting off the track here.
Can I roll a religion check to gauge? I don't know how much Isolde would know about this, but I would like to know who among the people in this room came from the material plane.
Came from Toril. It's Bahamut,
Yeah.
Saloon, Mistra, Tiamat. And originally, well, yeah, never mind. So you know all those.
Bahamut, Mistress, Saloon, Tiamat,
hmm
and so the others came from,
The stars.
you know, like the far reaches of the primeval creation.
Yeah, they came
Got
from a
it.
different planet. Shandakul, Shandakul, Ilmater, Amanator, Primus, Asmodeus, and a bunch of others who just left. Which
Right.
include, I can give you a list here: Bane, Baal, Lolth, Tempest, and Coralon. All of them are not here. They appear to have absconded. Is that the right term?
Mm,
They not here. I think Isolde is not keen on reestablishing things the way that they were. And if having a plane is what provides power, she didn't want a plane to begin with because she wanted to remain among the people. And so it seems to be a bit of an empty gesture in that she's not here to collect souls to increase her power. And so at least the vibe on that side of the room is becoming more dire. And she's just like kind of shaking her head as this conversation continues. Amanator speaks out. Those of us who ascend, who hold the reins, we defend from inside and from without.
Damon, if he notices that Isolde is seeming agitated, he will say as quietly as possible so that only she can hear him. Whatever happens, Captain, I am with you.
I'll just sort of like gently touch his shoulder again and take a deep breath.
Terran steps forward. I will defend a plane. I will hold one. And Amanator smiles. There we go. One volunteer.
Could we not have, rather than several divided planes, a single plane of harmony, in keeping with the metaphor, let us say a garden, within a wild woods, an outer plane of chaos and might, and security between? This need not be about power, but again, for an enduring future, it seems best to keep things simple and undivided.
All of the planes must interact with the material plane in order to give them their boon. A material plane without order is chaos. A material plane without chaos is determined. Either one, without good or evil, becomes spoiled.
Could we have a material plane as the garden, and security a fence of order, permeable, but outside of which is chaos.
I would need to see the diagram.
Yeah, I literally imagine a garden inside of a wild woods with a fence around it. So the garden is the material plane with harmony and prosperity.
Oh,
The fence would be order, a plane, let's say, of order.
yeah, that's sort of what Saloon was offering, where it's like the Wild Woods is like part of the. It's sort of like the. like the external plane sort of bleeding into the garden a little bit. So if you wanted to stray from the garden, you could.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bosner wants that less divided plane and more
Okay.
like outsiders defend outside. A Monitor is just being a dickhead. So he just like, you look out there against like whoever big bad bullies you ran away from, not to come and fight you anymore. And we'll take care of our shit.
Yeah, the
And
problem is he can't do that without the power of the souls from the planes. Like, those are the things that give them the power. That's how they've channeled it all. Good people die, they go to the good plane, they empower those who rule the good plane. Bad people die, they go to the bad plane, they empower those who rule the bad plane.
Yeah.
So in this Wild Woods ontology, where would the good and bad people go?
the fence plane?
Perhaps
then
they would be reborn in the depths of the woods, sort of.
Wouldn't both garden and woods have good and bad though? Like,
Surely.
Yeah.
Yeah, you need balance. That's what
Is this-
Vosner's all about.
But they would
This
be
is-
sort of confined to their various sectors in the woods.
I see. Okay. The evil woods and the good woods. Okay.
Yeah, Vera, are you suggesting that in the material plane, though, that it still is all the other planes together there in the center?
That seemed to be like a necessary condition.
Okay.
In order for there to be planes at all, that they leech off of the material plane, the garden, so to speak.
Yeah. Or what if the Wild Woods were the material plane and the garden be the more?
Alright.
As you further go out, you get more.
I think Ilmater will step forward and say,
We need some Venn diagrams.
I do agree. No.
Oh, you cut out, Tim. It's hard to hear you.
No. Okay. Better?
Better.
I grew a garden once, thousands of years ago. I remember traveling all around to select the most unique and fascinating plants from all corners of creation. And you know what happened when I put them all into a garden together? And he looks at Veril as if waiting for an answer.
Competition or cooperation?
Destruction, my child. By the time my garden was done and I gave it up, one single plant ruled the entire garden and had destroyed every other plant. You speak of balance as if it is a hands-off sort of approach. But if we let all of these things collide in this garden, do you really think balance will be the outcome? And not destruction?
I fail to see how a tended garden could be destroyed.
Perhaps it was not the garden, but the gardener who was wanting.
Oh,
Perhaps.
Perhaps the gardener didn't understand the needs of some plants were different, and for their desire to make something optimal, they sacrificed the needs of all for their own design and destroyed them all.
Oh, to be sure, I bow to your many, many years of wisdom and experience in this matter.
Thanks.
To your
He gives a jaunty thumbs up.
To your point, good Ilmater, there are selfish plants, invasive plants. But it seems you can keep them in bounds, so to speak, with sufficient attention and tending.
Indeed. One might suggest you separate them into divided parts of your garden so that they do not destroy each other.
There are plants, good Malter, that, if in the right habitat, check and balance one another. Look at the vastness of the continents. You've had that sight for a long time. There are no fences, but there are certain things that grow better in other places. You purposely went, and you brought something from far off, and far off, and far off, to bring them into a single place. Those who have lived here a long time, Saloon, Mistra, Bahamut, Tiamat, they are those native plants. They know what they need and how they need it. You are the gardener. You know the temperament of things beyond the plant's control, the weather, it would seem, the larger cosmic situation that a part of.
Forgive me, my child.
So, my point is, we all have lots of different types of wisdoms. But a true, thriving garden comes with a balance of wisdoms from what the plant has and will continue to do, and the community it builds amongst other plants. And the
Can I
gardener.
get some clarity?
I don't know. My idea is that he wants the aliens to fight off the aliens and the locals to tend to the local material plane more so.
Right. When we're talking about like dividing up the gardens and stuff, though, are we talking about the fact that, like, as of right now, in this moment, all the planes are kind of layered on top of each other and
Yeah, the planes
leading
merge.
into one another, such that, like, there's going to be elementals and demons and, you know, genies and all that sort of stuff. And I think what we're accidentally advocating for is that we want that collision to occur in the garden. Which is kind of like just a mini Sardior's garden.
Right.
Yes, that's Ilmater's concern, and that's why he brought up the metaphor there.
Yeah.
He's suggesting you need the planes to keep all of this separated.
Right, and in the original construction, its might makes right. Whoever's powerful enough can just take over. But with a Monitor and all of them, good people can be rewarded with divine power to fight against evil.
Got it.
What would
I think maybe I like the idea of reincarnation, but perhaps the more harmonious and cooperative the person is, the goodness of their soul, then they will be reincarnated in the, like, classical sense material plane part of the garden. And if their soul is more evil and chaotic, that they would go to the wild woods. And if they are determined enough to regain that harmony, they would have to move themselves through the plane towards the garden. And they could reestablish that balance and once more live in the garden. But I don't think that the garden should have, you know, all of the planes stacked on top of each other. It would still be good to have, like, an elemental plane and those sorts of things, but souls don't need to go there.
Okay, so you're basically advocating for separation, but maybe a simplified planar system.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fine. That Primus is down with that. He's got lots of ways he could organize this. In fact, Damon now knows lots of ways you could organize it as well, given that he is privy to that information. He knows how to pull the levers and such.
Vosner wants a monitor to lose in some sort of way. And he likes
Well-
saloon.
He's already losing in that he's giving up some of the planes to new people.
He wants him to lose harder.
Okay.
I think that this structure of good souls being automatically reincarnated into the garden would be a detriment to the classical system, in that gods would no longer collect the souls of their followers. Instead, they would hope that they could bring people to goodness such that the garden can continue to be a populous and peaceful place.
I like it. Aim for a better garden.
Better
Yeah.
garden.
And a better woods, as the case may occasionally be.
Better garden as a regulative ideal.
Nice.
And I think the trade-off for a Monitor, if his concern is truly that he wants to keep this place safe, is that he can, as Vosner had suggested before, rule over this fence plain area. And if he wants to be the only one that does that, fine. Souls aren't going to go there. It's not going to make him more powerful. But his strength would be used to both defend the garden and to help wayward souls reconnect with the garden if they move themselves through the wild woods.
Yeah. Could anyone go to the fence? No. Like, speaking for Terran, or on the idea of Terran, if he wants to, like, maybe not Terran, but like a soul that wants to like help defend against the wider cosmos, you know.
Yeah,
But he
I
has a
think
monitor
that-
and,
Soul of
like,
Order.
Yeah,
Sure.
gain to his power. So like him, like monitor the soul. That.
So you
Could
guys
be
are
green.
advocating for a place where if the demons got enough power, they could break through and assault the material plane. Like they're not sequestered.
not
I'm-
sequestered.
I mean, how good of a fence could we make?
Yeah, well,
Yeah, I don't really think that they're sequestered necessarily with the way things are.
they're pretty sequestered as like relative to like the material. If there are enough demons to overrun the entire material plane, and they, very rarely get there.
Yeah.
Um,
What does Hadariel want? Like
Hadara
to-
wants her own plane, man.
she wants her own plane, but does she like
Then she can rule the demons.
get rid
we'll
of
give her a
already
rogue
happened.
horn.
She
Yeah.
wants to rule the devils,
We'll
Or
go
the
down.
devils.
or some form of devils.
She just wants to rule devils, but not evil souls, just devils.
I think I'm okay with there being a separate demon and devil plane beyond the wild woods that is more heavily sequestered.
Sort of like
I think the wild woods is really just a place for chaos. Maybe the Fae is there, some, more questionable morality, but not like straight up demons and devils.
We don't want to grow dangerous plants. I love the
Correct.
metaphor. I'm going to keep rolling with it. I think it's helpful.
I think we should
Yeah.
grow dangerous plants and shoot them at other planets.
I feel like you guys are advocating for this, but it's also like, in a way, you're just describing the previous system.
No. It's
Yes
fun.
and no. It's very similar. I would say the main distinction is that gods would no longer collect souls and collect power. The sort of general ambition of the god would be to have followers live, long, harmonious lives and continue to be reincarnated in the garden.
Yeah. Vosner's sort of side goal is not to have Saloon or any of the gods that were native to this planet be trapped and separated from there any longer. So figuring out a way we can do that, that's sort of his thing.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think they would be more imminent divinities.
Okay, so you're proposing basically the same system, but power is more derived from the number of followers you currently have on the material plane?
Yeah, the better the garden.
Saying that it's imminent divinities, is it just all the gods are just walking amongst the garden and consistently, pruning and tending and whatnot, so that they don't have separate planes that they separate patches they're looking at, they're all just wandering the garden the same as everyone else?
I mean, that would be Isolde's vision.
But we could also go outside of the fence as well into the woods if need
Yeah,
be,
you could.
to keep
Yeah.
the bears and wolves and groundhogs away, so to speak.
So is the main difference then that in our system the gods have to be vulnerable? They can't shut themselves up in a way as to make themselves sequestered and safe from direct danger. If you want to be a god, you have to be
You have to have a risk.
ready to bleed for it.
You have to put in the work too, yeah.
Yeah.
Keep the fence
Yep.
happy, keep the garden nutritious, keep the wolves at bay.
And I mean, obviously, there's some security in that if need be, you might, go to the fence area for a little bit or something like that. I think I'm also trying to grapple with how does one become powerful in this schema?
So, yeah, the original schema, the power was derived from the presence of souls on the plane.
Could it derive from devotion and admiration of the followers instead?
Sure.
It doesn't matter what plane you're on, but if you think our Monitor is the best, but you're stuck in the wild woods, our Monitor is gonna get that little bump.
That seems dangerous.
I mean, that's what we're proposing.
Yeah.
Alright, well,
I guess I just like the idea of the feedback of if you are a cultivator and you place your followers in a good position and you help them to learn and grow wiser and they live a good life and are reincarnated in the garden and they tell their children, etc. about this, that there's this feedback loop of you would become a more powerful cultivator because you've cultivated well.
We could set something up with term limits on godhood.
you have to
I would
elect
say
your
that-
god, but only if you're in the right burrow.
Well, I mean, it kind of also makes sense because if you isolate yourself and you're not doing that work of interacting, then you'll be forgotten.
I mean, we could just do it could just still be lifetime appointments, but you actually have a finite lifespan. You don't get to live forever.
Oh yeah, I think for sure. I mean, part of us being vulnerable is that we would have a finite lifespan.
I'll go for immortality rather than eternality, but yeah, I got you.
How's this for a proposal? You still have separation. You still have or some separation. It's you can go there if you want to. The souls go there, but they're not trapped forever. They're there for 500 years and then they re-enter the cycle so that they still empower the gods. And the gods, because that's still tethered to the material realm, are not immortal. They're just powerful in their domain, and they have their own internal structure. So like the 9 hells or whatever, they can, whoever's more powerful can rise up and kill whoever they want and take over. And like the divine realms, they can base it off who's helping the most people or whatever. And then we split it up like the standard like diagram for like good and evil and neutral and chaotic, or like order and chaotic, like nine planes, with the middle plane, the neutral thing, being the one that's the arbiter of all of them. And that would allow for connection. You could still have souls that are powering gods, but it wouldn't be as set in stone.
Guess that would be a good compromise. So the gods would still be vulnerable, would be able to live amongst people, but they would also have their own domain. They could go back and forth.
Yeah.
The souls of their followers would stay with them in like peace or harmony or whatever for 500 years, and then would be reincarnated.
Mm-hmm.
Would that also be the case for people who were evil when they died?
Oh yeah, everybody gets to come back, try it again.
Okay, I like that.
All
I
right.
think Azulda would be okay with that.
So that would give us effectively 9 places to go. We can just draw it out.
And could you have
Session
multiple?
104.
Could you have multiple gods rule the same sort of plane? So like, I don't know. It seems like Mistra and Vero like would be like buddies.
I mean, I can tend a portion of the garden insofar as it pertains to fence keeping.
Yeah. You know, and Vosner and like one of the dragons in the saloon. Right? Because Vosner's like just to kind of go into more of a shoot, it just left my mind. But you know, he's true neutral, so like he can work with good and bad and neutral. But as long as nature is sort of like maintained, you know, he would want a connection with a good, a bad, and a neutral person.
Yeah, I am somewhat struggling to overlay the alignment chart onto
Should we get rid of the alignment chart?
Garden in the Wild Woods, but
yeah, there's like
I'm sure it can be done.
Yeah, because like I'm thinking of like a garden in it of itself, and people are like, slugs and decomposers are bad because they kill plants, but those are also very necessary, and they're not bad in and amongst themselves, right? They're necessary for the larger system. So it seems like a very Grecian logical thing. Tried to make sense of a very large and complex system, you know.
You may want a pollinator to attract bees, but you don't want the pollinator to take over the garden, and so, you know, it could be a bad pollinator. But...
Yeah.
Bees?
Bees. The bees. We need a Lord of the Bees.
Lord of the Bees.
I don't know. I don't know what the ordering here is, but this is just a proposal of some sort. People can move themselves as they want.
I like how a monitor is like the only person, like if there's a paladin, they would go there. He's the only person over there.
I guess I put them off the board if they don't want to be part of the divine. Or maybe they don't get a spot. Or they could share it. Maybe Hadariel and maybe there's co-rulers.
I mean, I think that's what Vosner was trying to say for the most
Dane
part.
would advocate for Hadariel a little bit.
Yeah. Dariel and Tiamat will rule chaos. Or maybe Bahamut and Tiamat will return to the material plane. Just live amongst the garden
Make some more
as
dragons.
super beings.
Yeah, did we secure a good spot for the dragons then?
Looks like they're off. They're gonna live. They're gonna sort of traverse all of them, I guess.
Nice. But we're establishing that they are not.
I'm gonna get rid of your dragon form, just so it's clear.
No! Okay.
Where would Vosner want to be in this whole thing? He wants to be true neutral with Varel and Mistra?
He knows that chaos is sort of. He wants to be like here-ish.
I think that'd put you in chaotic good.
Chaotic good. So like, yeah, a healthy garden is a good garden, but you need chaos to make sense.
All right. And
that
if
sounds
Primus
fair.
is abdicating his throne, then who's taking it over? Is Damon gonna chip in?
Oh,
I mean, with Mistra and Varel spread across like lawful, neutral, and true neutral, could they handle it?
Sure.
that's what I was thinking. Like, I want to be involved in the garden, but if I gotta go out in the woods sometimes,
All right, Mr. will be lawful neutral, and you could be neutral.
nice.
Could Vosner go back and forth? It's just like
You could just be of the material plane if you want. That would allow you to go through all of them. We're just deciding who's going to rule over it.
Oh, to rule.
Mm-hmm.
Would Saloon appreciate Vosner's sort of newer viewpoints on things? Like, is she down? Not out of.
She was advocating for kind of a similar thing, but she wasn't out to spite a monitor like you were.
All right. Well, for the. All right. I guess he'll kind of stay where he is, but he kind of definitely still wants to be an active gardener.
All right. Well, you could just be part of the material plane. Bahamut, Tiamat, Gilgamesh, and the Queen are all gonna do that.
And Damon.
Okay. Yeah. So Damon. This is the crew to the right there. That's the material plane people. Just gonna be powerful beings in the material plane. Where's Isolde gonna go? She gonna rule?
No, I don't think so. I think she'll probably be with this crew.
Could we translate this into the garden woods? Because I can see that a little better than the.
Well, this would be the This would be the fence around the garden.
Understood. Okay, got you.
All right, and so
The fence.
people.
This would be the fence and the woods. The garden would be where Tiamat, Bahamut, Isolde, Fosner, all of them are.
Understood.
So we'll essentially be like demigods almost. Just like
Yeah, you'll just
incredibly-
be like the only level 20 in a 50-mile radius. You can go
and
help the
Primus is
people.
going. Primus is going off world.
Primus
or
is
is
gonna
he-
leave, yeah. Actually, Shandakul is gonna leave too. That means there's an opening in chaotic neutral. Forgot about that. Maybe
We need a
Taryn would take
dragon
that.
for that.
Maybe we do
Thinking
that.
of.
There we go.
Could I walk among the garden if I was the neutral good ruler?
You could, yeah.
Would I still be mortal?
Yeah, all of them are gonna end up being mortal in this scheme.
Oh, okay.
That's our term limits.
So I would just be like trying to cultivate people towards goodness.
Mm-hmm.
Well, then I guess Vosner would go and like be an active gardener, but still rule alongside Saloon. He just really wants to get to know her after he learned that she's a native of the planet and was sort of like checkmated into the past system.
Say Bahamut will train Terran. And maybe Mister will train Varel. I'm trying to think of who's gonna... Does anybody want to train under Primus?
Shandakul.
Shandakul. Maybe Hidariel. She's not necessarily evil anymore. Tiamat can remain chaotic evil. Hidariel's sort of in between the planes. She was once an angel and then fell to a devil and now redeemed herself. So,
But
So I do want to note that, like, despite this being my position, I think that Isolde would spend her time probably wherever Damon was. So I don't want this to seem like she's not isolating herself, because that's
No,
the
no, no,
opposite
no.
of what she wants to do.
it's just who's going to control, who's going to shepherd over the souls from this type of person.
The Damon not having to rule, but all four of you dudes becoming gods is his ideal vision of things.
Okay.
okay. Yeah, Vosner will essentially do the same.
Be about what Damon wants, but that is what he wants.
I like that. Plus, Damon's more immortal than the rest of us, so.
No one's gonna hang out with Asmodeus?
All right, everybody.
No.
He's not funny, man.
Is he a frat bro? Is he the
Yes.
frat bro of the gods?
You want to 1v1 Asmodeus?
In Pong,
Oh,
In
yeah.
pop. No, I'll take him on in carousel. He won't deal with the chaos then.
He only plays Counter-Strike 1.5.
He's pretty good though.
that scans actually.
That's why he's obsolete.
Fucking 20-minute 1v1 scout snipes. Alright. So,
Spawn camper.
you all... I'm going to say most of this took place in the conference room. As you hash out the papers and decide, instead of coming to blows with the old gods, you recognize there is some wisdom to their ways, but you propose some amendments to the system to simplify the pantheon, to cut down on the excess, to make the gods mortal and thereby more involved in the material plane, while maintaining the protection of the realm. You propose a new system with leaders and followers and apprentices. Gilgamesh apprenticing for Tiamat, Terran apprenticing for Bahamut, Hadariel apprenticing for Primus, which is a weird combo. And you start pulling on the levers and reorganizing the material plane. Is this how you would like to end the campaign?
Can I, point of clarification, the souls that were in the other planes before, would it be possible to reorganize them along these lines?
Here's what we're gonna do. The second the lever is pulled, all of the old planes are going to be consolidated. All of the souls from every single plane are going to pour out. Angels, demons, dead people, living people, or whatever. They're all going to flood into the material plane, and it'll be an insane amount of life returning to Faerun as all of these beings are reborn into this very lush garden, and fertility is up. Lots of babies are being born. Souls are sort of waiting in line to re-enter the material plane as years of bounty continue. So all the souls aren't destroyed. They're reintegrated, one cycle of reincarnation, and so all of the sort of power and everything is reset.
Perfect.
And I made
I have a question
10
for
stat blocks for no reason. It's fine. Sorry.
Personally, I'm very glad it didn't come to blows with the old gods. That would have been a doozy.
Damon will say, "Do you guys want to fight just for fun?"
Vosner will come to material plane once in a while as just a version of an elemental Tarrasque. So
Sure.
I think he's strong enough to do
You
that.
sure you don't want to be chaotic evil?
No, I think chaotic good. Like every once in a while, you need a good win stuff. Bountiful, like
Elemental Tarrasque is the equivalent of controlled burns.
yeah, essentially.
Inspired.
You and
fear.
Asmodeus should have a lot in common.
Yeah, but I'm not pounded back with natty lights.
Asmodeus is basically running that whole plane of existence on the premise that, on average, human beings, humanoids, end up being evil. So he thinks he'll end up being the most powerful.
Interesting.
Just humans, not humanoids.
No,
Just
all
regular
humanoids.
No, just humans.
Put orcs in there, man. Goblins? Are you kidding me?
No, I think
99% evil.
they're more chaotic.
Alright, pull the lever then, and I guess
Pull the lever.
let
Bronx.
the bounty commence.
You all together sort of hashing this out over lots of coffee and arguments at the table, draw up your new construction. It's part new, it's part old. It's a compromise between the old powers and the new powers, with the promise for change built into it. New gods can rise and fall. The old gods are not eternally doomed or trapped to their planes. They can leave, they can abdicate their thrones, and there is a sense that all of it is being done for the sake of the health of the garden. As the lever is pulled, all the souls reunite into the material plane once cut off, and all sorts of life spawns quickly and is formed. Light returns to Faerun, and it's no longer Faerun as the pulling of the lever crashes, changing geography, swirling things around. The creators very skillfully rearrange the terrain such that there is a clear demarcation between the garden and the fence and the forest, as all the planes are shifted into clean and neat spaces. And have become traversable terrains. What else? The inhabitants of this new place, which I will let you guys give it a name. Some of them are from the Old Order, some of them are from the New Order, but they quickly find and create cities with the help of those who wander around the material plane. It's the worst, Master. Those who wander around the material plane and aid these newcomers as their souls are reborn into a different world. And I think that's the end of the campaign.
I think so.
And the next campaign will be 1,000 years after this event happens, and we'll see what the world looks like. Maybe. I don't know. Maybe
Wow.
I'm done with D&D forever. I don't know. It's been 4 years. It's been a long run.
It has been. Thank you for everything, John.
Oh my
And
god.
thanks for coming every week for so many years.
We didn't kill any of the gods. That's wild.
Happy I got to.
Honest to God, I think I'm going to be 70 years old one day and thinking, I wonder what, Beryl and Izzy and Vosner.
Yeah, this is an open invite, too, for, Okay, so we've got some sort of order here that you can play off of. You can explain sort of where you imagine your character being in, 10 years, and then 50 years, and then 100 years, collaborating here. I'll say that you are gifted with extremely long lives. So if you do want to live, say if you want to live for 1,000 years, your character could, given the way these things are working. You're not invincible, but you are immortal, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I think Vosner will go down essentially tend the garden, but sort of pseudo retire into the equivalent of Detroit's Ireland, right? If we're gonna name it. Yeah, so Detroit is our new order, right? Is that what we're...
No.
Veto that.
Hard veto.
Big hard no there.
Fort Lauderdale?
Detroit?
God, jeez.
Jesus Christ.
Miami? Alright, so Vosner will create the Ireland Miami. No, but essentially he'll just kind of be a druid as of old, sort of almost like a caretaker prophet in the sort of way that grants wisdom instead of tells the future, and spends many decades as animals, and is very sort of neutral, and try and learn and form a relationship with Saloon in some sort of way. That's sort of his 1,000 or 2,000 year plan.
Okay.
I think Izzy spends a lot of time hands on helping people rebuild cities, and using her power as much as she can to keep people healthy and keep things flourishing, and probably just looks at the world as if anyone among them might be E or Missile or Iver. And so she just tends to the world for as long as she lives.
Awesome. And you do see, I think one of the things that you would probably see from this perspective is you could probably recognize old souls that come through that you once knew, even if they don't hold their memories.
Nice.
Varel would try to live for as long as possible, but not forever, until the point that he becomes, let's say, a master gardener and woodsman. And in an interesting way, I think, kind of bringing E and Missile together with, let's say, proficiency from the part of Missile, but in these things natural from E. And so then once he gets bored of that, perhaps he can raise an apprentice and take his leave. But persevering until, what do we have here? Being able to see all futures and what is involved in bringing them to fruition, or precluding them from happening, and seeing the patterns common to law and chaos, and particular and universal. Just being a nerd.
Yeah, Varel and Mistra work together to weave the loom of time, making sure the thread stays. The tapestry is a beautiful one, not marred with destruction.
Love it.
I think Terran would train under Bahamut for many years until Bahamut sort of retires, so to speak, and then Terran would take over ruling and keeping things in check on his side of the fence. But I'll let him describe that later if he wants.
Nice.
Roman just wanders around, helping people with four big things, and in time he meets other people who remind him of his friends that he travels with for a while before leaving. Legends grow about his horrifying flaming sword that falls out of the sky in situations where he helped with a siege or fought in a war because he thought the cause was just. And he just does that until he gets himself killed. And when he doesn't know what the right thing to do in a situation is, he now has 4 gods that he can pray to for guidance.
Hmm.
No.
Yeah,
We got you.
I'd say Damon lives like 1,000 years, and then or hundreds of years, probably, into this world before succumbing to some sort of ailment or death from battling in some war.
It is inevitable.
Yes. But
Think-
he may be one day rebuilt if he needs to be called upon once again. Or
Who's
not.
to
I
say
like it.
might happen? He just goes on living his life
I dig it.
until then he will again if he needs to.
I'm thinking the queen is going to swoop into some part of the garden that's pretty close to the evil plains, so to speak. She's going to set up a nice big kingdom, run the show. She's probably going to be like one of the most influential political players, being a vampire that can easily overpower lots of people. She's just going to run some badass kingdom for a long time.
I think when Vosner finally decides to die, however many thousands of years after, he's gonna go back to the general spot where shit,
Monster?
not Mostone,
The druid.
Joe Hobbs. Yeah,
Oh, Joa.
yeah, Joe Hobbs.
Oh.
Yeah, he's just gonna sit down and again, craft some more, flowers there, and just kind of take a sit down and have a couple flagons of ale there, and take a sit down next to his good friend.
Yeah. All right. Well, Anybody have closing pieces left for their characters?
I think that's it. That's the end of the story.
The real treasure was the friends we made along the way.
Son of a
It's
bitch!
pretty true. It's pretty true.
Made along
You
the
guys
way.
made friends?
And nobody decides to settle down and have kids. The legacies.
Oh no.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, I love it.
Osner-
Immortal beings.
Osner-
Everybody's like
Osner's so
child
called
free.
rabbits.
Do we give the new world like a bear-themed name?
Oh.
Ooh. What's a Latin for garden of bears? Like Ursus
Ursus.
Jordan?
Yeah.
Hold on. I got the perfect one. Here it is.
God damn. I quit. I quit.
Stupid.
That's really funny.
You know
did
what?
Did I win?
You know what? With that, Gert, this campaign is over. I quit.
Yes. So, effectively named as the Chicago Bears.
One word though.
Yeah, does
Or
any...
just
Oh, what's up?
Latin for garden of bears.
It would be Ursus Jardinus,
Oh, okay.
Ooh.
but
You
that's
could
not
just
colorful.
call it... You could call it the garden. That could be it.
Yeah.
Or gardenus.
We'll brainstorm.
Okay.
I like Ursus Jardinus.
We'll
So
have to
my
figure it out
thought...
by the next campaign.
My thought is maybe we could do... This is sort of a wrap-up session in the middle of this because we didn't end up fighting, which is totally fine. That's the one way, if you guys wanted to resolve it that way, that's totally fine. I guess one thought I had was maybe one last session where we sort of do like a wrap-up, like if you guys have questions about things that happened or didn't happen, or just want to talk about the campaign, we could do that. So, I don't know. If you guys want to meet up next week and talk about the campaign as a whole, or ask questions like whatever happened to Brett, or where's Aureus, those kinds of things, you can ask them.
Oh, yeah. Aureus.
I'll read through my notes.
Yeah,
See
see if
what's
there's any
left lingering.
threads I didn't tie up. There probably are. Aside from Johoff dying of old age. When-
Are Izzy's parents alive?
They did not survive the invasion.
Tragedy.
I was gonna
But
ask.
they're
Izzy if
reborn.
he's
And at
told
some point,
if-
Isolde would see them like running around as kids,
Mm,
drawn back
I like that.
together by nature of their souls.
I like that a lot.
Wow, soulmates, metaphysically real.
That's
In this game.
confirmed.
Confirmed.
Confirmed in
That's-
Chicago Bears.
Nice.
We're not doing that, Garrett.
Osner's disinvited from Ursus. All right, all. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give some thoughts to questions and things.
There's at least a couple things that I probably really want to know.
Alright,
So-
well, put them in the chat if you think it's going to be hard for me to look up, and next week we'll get together and just shoot the shit and talk about the campaign and other things, and we can just keep it short. It doesn't have to be very long, but whatever y'all want to do.
Cool.
Sounds good.
Keep it natural.
Alright, nerds, see you
Thanks, dude.
next week. Thanks for beating the game.
Really,
Thanks
Thanks
for
for
everything.
making the game.
This was
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah, for real,
incredible.
dude.
Thanks
Thanks
for
for collecting this story.
yeah, and
Did you-
roping in a very
Stop.
small part
Stop.
of my backstory.
And
Yeah.
thanks to Tim for showing up at the end, and I was so
Yeah.
happy to have him
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah,
It
dude.
was-
Hell yeah.
It was a joy to get to, metaphorically be with you all for this last session. I
Are
miss
you
you
coming
all.
back?
We miss you, dude.
you know,
Glad we didn't have to kill you.
The same.
Oh my god, he had so many good abilities. He would have beat the shit out of you guys.
Yeah, his description was what more or less meek, but also signs of incredible strength, and I was like, nope.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we don't have any of our level spell slots left. I was like, yeah, let's talk our way
You
out of
thought
this.
getting punched by Johoff was bad. Until this old man hits you.
This looks like he could headbutt you into another dimension.
Oh,
Quick,
for
add
sure.
that ability. Anyways.
Yeah.
Alright, everybody. I gotta pee or my bladder's gonna explode.
All right. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Miss you.
Bye,
Love
love
you
you.
guys.